So, have you noticed the glut of thieves happening in the crochet industry lately? So, this isn't a new thing. This is a thing that's been going on for quite some time. However, it just seems that the scammers and the spammers and the scrapers are multiplying. They're getting crafty and not in a good way. And more and more designers are experiencing theft of their patterns. And that could look like someone purchasing a pattern and then reselling it as their own, downloading a free pattern and selling it, um, purchasing a pattern or getting a hold of the pattern and then putting it up for free on one of those awful sites that do that. That's happened to me many times. Scraping Pinterest pins and adding their own URLs so that instead of going to your site, it goes to their site. And then often on their site, they'll link to you, but that's after the customer has gotten frustrated that they clicked somewhere and they didn't get what they wanted. So they may or may not come to you, and that impacts your ad revenue. Taking crochet patterns and turning them into ebooks and selling them on Amazon, and taking crochet patterns and repackaging them, buying Facebook ads, and selling hundreds of thousands of them on Facebook. Those are just some of the things I've seen this week, right? Excuse me while I get comfortable. What are we going to do about this? It is awful. It's, like I said, it's theft. It's someone stealing your property and taking money from your business. And it's happening more and more. And I wonder where this is going to lead for crochet business owners. And I wonder what we can do to mitigate it, to stop it, and to figure it out. So I would love to hear from you as we continue talking about this. Before we go too much further, I want to say hi, welcome to Crochet Business Chat. I'm Pam, the Crochetpreneur, and I am happy that you're here. Go ahead and like this video so we get more people on watching with us, hanging out with us, and be sure to comment. All right, we got that over with. Oh yeah, and subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Hey everyone, good morning. For those of you who are watching live, good morning. It's good to see you here. Okay, so we're talking about thieves. I would imagine if you're a crochet designer that at some point you have seen someone take your pattern and either give it away for free or resell it as their own. Now, it's one of those things where in some cases you can do something. In some cases you can take action. In other cases, it could simply suck the life out of you and your business trying to track down who's doing this and how to make them stop. And so ultimately, and I don't want to give away the ending, but ultimately it's going to come down to protecting your peace and controlling what you can control and letting go of the rest. But before we get there, let's go ahead and get back to the beginning and just talk about some protections you could add, some ideas to protect yourself, some ideas on things that you could do to mitigate these issues. And let's talk about it. So I created some banners for those who are watching live so you can see. So can we stop the thieves? Ultimately, thievery has been around since the dawn of time, and I don't think in the end that we can stop thieves. However, there are some things that we can do to protect ourselves, and we can know what our legal protections are and do things around that. So the first thing to do is to understand your legal protections and spread awareness about that. So oftentimes people say, well, it's free on the internet, so I can do whatever I want with it. And so spreading the word about what a copyright does and does not mean could be on your to-do list if that's something that you want to do. So you could, at the bottom of all of your free patterns, say, not just say, this is a copyrighted pattern, do not whatever, but say, just because this is free doesn't mean that you could do this, 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 or this. Those things are illegal and I will come after you. Of course, use better language than that. Don't push away your actual customers by having a bad attitude or accusing them of having motives that they don't have. But definitely, I think being really clear about what it means to have a copyright. And in the United States and in many countries, as soon as you create something, meaning as soon as you create your written pattern, you are copyright protected um, from someone else, taking that pattern and using it as their own. You don't have to register that pattern in order to have a copyright protection on that pattern. So it's like even my notes that I take during the day. I have my notes on my pad. These notes are copyright protected, right? No one can come and take a photo of these and share them online. They're mine and they're copyright protected. Um, and so is your pattern. However, there are some other things, and I need to say, I'm not a lawyer. I have not read the law about this. I'm telling you what I have heard from lawyers. But what that is you can submit in the US your copyrighted items for kind of stronger legal protections, meaning that you can fill out a copyright registration form, send in your copyrighted item, pay a fee. I think it's $35, or at least it used to be. And then, the powers that be will hold a copy of your copyrighted item so that if you ever have to prove copyright, you have that registered and it's right there with that those copyrighted details on them. Otherwise, keep very clear records, keep dates on everything, keep track of your progress, take photos of your progress of designing something, and keep the timestamp, keep the meta information on your computer, on your files, and so that if you ever have to revert to those, you can, to prove your own copyright. That sounds really daunting, and the chances of you actually having to go to litigation for something are pretty small. And honestly, for me, if I had all the money in the world, I would litigate the heck out of everything, because that wrong is wrong and people shouldn't get away with things. However, it is very expensive to hire a lawyer and to take things to court. And so the likelihood of me going to court to prove copyright is pretty small. So there's other things we can do. Okay, so that's just me. Okay, so another thing you can do is use some technological solutions to solidify your copyright claims. So that would mean adding a watermark to photos, adding a watermark to a file. And there are apps that can do that. And I don't mean a watermark that has your business name plastered across an image. Those things can typically be easily removed. I'm talking about watermarks that sit behind the scenes, that are invisible, that are in the code of that file. So either a photo or a digital file, you can, add watermarks that way. Or as I was researching some of this, this word blockchain kept coming up. I don't even know what that is, but apparently it will help you solidify your copyright protection. So that's something that I need to do further research on. I'm not super techie, so I don't know what that does, but it's something you might want to research if you're a techie kind of person. So other than that, we can go into education phase. So there's a lot of people, you might see now, people in the realm of spotting AI crochet things, right? There's a lot of people spreading information whenever they see something come up online that's an AI image of crochet, and all of the people are like, where can I buy the pattern? And people are selling them patterns that don't make what's in the photo, right? This is something that's happening all over the place. So it's another form of theft. It's not a theft of a person's pattern, but it's a theft of money because they're selling something that doesn't actually exist. Anyway, there's a lot of education happening online and on Facebook comment streams about AI, and we could do the same with other types of intellectual property theft. For example, when someone is selling someone else's design online, we could say, like, hey, this was originally designed by this person, link to them, link to the pattern, and say, don't purchase from the person who's paying for this sponsored ad because they've stolen it. Like going on and saying those kinds of things. Now you have to be careful because sometimes the designer is participating in a bundle sale, and so the person selling that bundle didn't steal that pattern. So make sure you know before you say things like that, because that could get you into legal trouble, to say like this person has stolen this. But you could say like, oh, here's the person that designed that pattern, you might want to talk to them before making a purchase, something like that. Also creating blog posts around how to spot stolen things, right? The next thing is monitoring and enforcement. So this is how we protect ourselves, right? We see who out there is selling and stealing our things, and we could do that through reverse image searches, or most of the time it's another maker who sees something of yours that's being stolen and reports it to you. And then enforcement would look like, typically a person would take a graduated approach to enforcement, like first saying, hey, sending a cease and desist letter. And then if they don't respond to that, sending a DMCA takedown to the person with the website or shop. And then finally reaching out to a web host and saying, you're hosting a website that is infringing on my intellectual property, and I'm telling you to take it down. And typically they will take it down within a day or two, because the host, for example, SiteGround or GoDaddy or Big Scoots, they're responsible for monitoring that kind of thing on their own platforms. So if someone is committing theft or doing something illegal using their resources, they're responsible for that. So they take that very seriously. So you would simply search Whois, which is a database which will tell you who owns that website and where it's hosted. And you would then contact the host of that website. And you could Google like Big Scoots DMCA takedown, and you'll find they'll usually have a form where you can link and you can prove, that you own the intellectual property, and they'll take that down for you. Now, you could get into the weeds with this. You could spend all day researching and finding people who have stolen things and sending DMCA takedown notices. So this is the point where we have to come to acceptance and say, you could pay somebody to do it, but is it worth the money? Are you really losing that much that you're going to invest in someone else to do that work? Are you going to spend your own time? Your time is more valuable than that. It's such a one of those things that you have to weigh, and it's all going to come down to your values and how you protect your own mental health in the process of all of this. So I think monitoring and enforcement is important. Pinterest will take things down. Amazon will take things down sometimes, from what I understand. And yeah, most of the web hosts will be really good about taking things down. The trouble you'll get into is when the web host is not in the same country as you, and that could get tricky. So if it's in a country that is known for supporting some of these practices, I'm not going to name anything, but if it is, then sometimes you just have to throw your hands up and say there's nothing I can do about it, because it would involve international law, and that would be just a time suck. So anyway, the next thing we can do is adapt. One of the things I thought of last week as I was seeing more and more of these things come through my Facebook feed, basically it's like an ad, a really great ad. So a great ad with really good images and really good copy, and hundreds, sometimes thousands of people commenting, where can I buy the pattern? Where can I buy the pattern? Where can I buy the pattern? Right? And then you can go and you can see, sometimes if they're on Etsy, you can see how many times they're selling this pattern. And it's a stolen pattern. And the thing that they're doing right is they are paying for ads, right? They've taken these Facebook page names that are innocuous. So they don't look like a handmade seller Facebook page, which I think sometimes the way that you name your business makes you look less desirable. Because so there, I wish I could go on Facebook and just like give you the names of some of them. They're often like yarn something or crochet something, and it's just a single word. So these single word Facebook pages, they look more professional, they look more um, high end, I guess, than having something that looks like a handmade seller Facebook page name. It's just a psychological game, but they take these business names and they're like nameless, faceless. And for some reason, wide groups of people on Facebook prefer to purchase from these nameless, faceless businesses than from the actual designers. It doesn't make sense. But you might do a test and start a secondary Facebook page and simply run ads to some of your best-selling patterns and see what happens. And my guess is that if you do it right and you target crochet and you target some of the bigger crochet, like I'm not going to say, so bigger crochet companies or yarn companies as targeting your audience, you could get in front of a lot of people who are willing to pay really great photos, really great copy, Facebook ads. I'm considering giving it a try. Now, I'm really busy right now. I can't do it right now, but it's something that I think could work because it's working for the thieves. Why isn't it working for the designers? There's something going on between the thieves and the designers, that there's this breakdown where the thieves are making all of the money off of the patterns and the designers are struggling. We need to basically take back our power in this and say, what are they doing right? And I need to do more of that, right? Same with people who are selling Amazon bundles and things like that. Like, why can't you create a bundle of your own patterns and sell them? You know, it's the marketing, it's the actual creating of the products, getting them up on Amazon, and like using copy that says, I designed these myself, no stolen patterns. I designed these myself. And then building a community around your brand so that your customers can be out there monitoring the situation for you. Those are just some ideas around that. And ultimately, it comes down to focusing on what you can control. So sadly, and I don't want to just be someone who gives up on some of this stuff, but for myself and my own business, some of it I have given up on because I was spending so much time and wasting so much energy on being anxious about this, being angry about this, that it was taking away from actually being productive in my business. So coming down to saying, what can I control about myself? What can I control in my business? And what can I not control? And then just being at peace with that. So it's ultimately going to come down to your own temperament and what works for you and what is most productive in your business. So I'm going to come check in with the comments and say, let's see. Ask My Needle says, this is a tough one. Patterns have been replicated since the beginning of time. Now so more with manufacturers mass producing amount as to what our hands can ever do. Yeah. Yep. That's true. What if you're using a free pattern from YouTube? You can use a free pattern from YouTube to make whatever you want to. So I'm talking about people who are taking a free pattern, taking the PDF, and then selling that either on an Etsy shop, or they create a Shopify shop, or they have a shop on their own website, and they're selling it as if they were the designer. So that's what they're doing. You can sell your completed products from most patterns out there. You can sell your completed product. Okay, when I see someone using photos of another designer, I contact the original designer and send them a link saying, hey, this person is using your photos because that person may have permission. Right. So I think that's a good idea. So instead of accusing the people firsthand, send it to the designer and say, hey, did you see this? So that they can take care of it. Because ultimately, you don't have the power to make someone take something down, but the owner of the copyright does. So that's a good that is a good way to do it. Then my customers will flag as a fake page impersonating me. My customers will, I don't know what that means. Okay. I'm sure you mean like you'll be doing things and then customers will flag other things. Let's see. I make a lot of things off YouTube and ask the designer if I can sell my finished product. Sometimes they answer back, sometimes they don't. So, depending on what country they're in, you may have automatic permission to make that product. That would be in the US, you have automatic permission to make the product. In the UK, if they say you can't make the product, you can't make the product. So, yeah, it's good to check and it's good to credit the designer. Craft Pixie said, I've seen people watermark each page of a pattern. I put my name and copyright symbol on every page. Would this help? Would this make it less appealing to copy? Would it help? Maybe. Would it make it less appealing to copy? No, because the thieves don't really care. You'll see people on Pinterest all the time, like taking someone's pin that has their business name on it, has their watermark on it, sticking it up there and putting it to link to their own website. It's because the customers don't know to look for that. Even the customers, if they purchase it from X business and they get your pattern and see that it has your business name on it, typically they're not going to even pay attention. So I don't know that works. So one of the only things that I have seen that I thought, well, this is a good idea, but I still don't know how it would work is Sendowl would allow you to add a custom code to every single file that you sell. So when someone purchases a file, it would have their specific code on there. And so if someone, has a customer service question and they give you their code and they're not the person that purchased that item, you'll know that it's stolen. But it doesn't prevent the theft up front. So I'm not really sure if even that would help. Heidi says, I usually end up modifying a pattern, paid or free, to suit my preference on the final product. When does it become my original pattern? From my perspective, it doesn't. It doesn't become your original pattern. If you're taking someone else's pattern and you're modifying it for yourself, that's great. You can do that. But then to say like, okay, well, I changed 50% of this, so now I'm going to write it up and sell it as my own. It may not be illegal, but it is not appreciated in the business. So if you're a designer, that means you're designing things. And designing means that you are creating something from your own mind and creating something from your own imagination. Now, this doesn't mean you can't use similar stitches to something else. And it doesn't mean you can't use similar shapes to something else. It means you can't take someone else's copyrighted items, copywritten information, and use part of that in your own thing, right? That would be illegal. Like you can't take like this part of someone's pattern and then stick it in your pattern. That would be illegal. Rewriting it is not illegal, right? So then we step into ethical boundaries. So just because something is legal doesn't make it right or doesn't make it industry standard. So I don't recommend doing that because you're not designing it. You're taking someone else's things and selling it. So I don't recommend that. If I make a Facebook page for my best patterns that resembles the fake pages you described, oh, yeah, well, you might want to say, this pattern was designed by such and such, and that's me. You could put it at the bottom. And then you could even link to your other page, right? So that you could tell people, because a lot of times these fake Facebook pages, people will say like, who is the original designer of this? And they won't answer and they won't say who designed it. And so if you're like upfront and transparent, then that should stem the tide of people reporting that page as you. So, all right. So, unfortunately, I would love to have the answer. I would love to have the answer that says, oh, do this, this, and this, and you won't have to worry at all about people stealing your patterns. Oh, one idea would be Mediavine has, and someone might have to remind me what it's called. Mediavine has a service. You don't have to be a Mediavine advertiser. You can use this service without being on their network, where someone would have to enter their email address in order to access your free pattern. So they get to your website, they see your introduction, but in order to see the free pattern, they have to give you their email address. And in that way, I think that could really help with this theft, because thieves aren't going to go to that kind of trouble, especially they're not going to leave their footprints, right? Saying that, yes, I did give you my email address and now I have this thing and now I'm selling it. So that could be a way to protect your business. Now there's some downsides to that, because you might lose some actual people who are going to come, access your free pattern, give you ad revenue, and maybe purchase your premium pattern on the back end of that. So you have to weigh that for yourself to see how that would work for you. Other ideas would be to put notifications on your physical PDF so that when someone prints out your PDF, it says, this pattern was designed by such and such a person. It's sold only in this shop and this shop. If you purchase from anywhere else, you've purchased from an unauthorized retailer, please report pattern theft too, and then have your email address, so that maybe you can start getting some information about where these things are happening. That might help. Doing, like I said, a reverse Google image search could help you find when things are happening. Getting onto some of those sites that share patterns for free could help, but people don't really care. I had a paid pattern shared for free thousands of times on one of those free sharing sites. People saying, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much. You're so generous for sharing this pattern." And I'm like, generous? They stole this from me. But the more I would say something, the more people would start attacking me. Right? They would say like, "You're so greedy. You shouldn't charge for this. They didn't do anything wrong sharing it for free. They paid for it. They can do whatever they want." All of these things that it's just really hard to fight back when those kind of things happen. And that's when you have to say like, all right, you people have to live with the consequences of what you do. And I'm just going to go keep doing my own thing. And then finally, there is a theory that the energy that we put into something actually creates, it's a little bit woo. So actually creates our reality. So like, obsessing about people stealing. I know there's a lot of people who obsess about people stealing. The more you obsess about it, the more you're going to be paying attention, the more you're going to see it everywhere, the more frustrated you're going to get. And that's just not good for you. So start, focusing more on empowering things, focus more on being generous and doing great things in your business, and trying to use the strategies that the thieves use to make your own sales rather than them making the sales. So that's that. That's what I have to say today. I'm not sure what we can do about these thieves except keeping vigilant, protect your own peace, and keep on keeping on designing gorgeous, beautiful things. All right. Thanks for hanging out this morning during Crochet Business Chat. I'll be back again next week. And be sure to share this with anyone you want to share this with. And I'll talk to you later. Bye. Ooh. Bye.